talking, and one of them, they've just told us that there's a tiff going on in Fairyland. Oberon and Titania have fallen out because Titania's got an Indian boy, little sort of page boy, and Oberon thinks he should have it. And they've argued about this, so they're not getting on well with each other. But not just that, because they're not getting on very well together, the weather isn't working, the bees aren't working, the plough boys can't work, the rain is killing all the crops, nothing's happening. Okay? When they fall out, the whole world turns sour, is what they're saying. Now this is a sort of a pagan fertility rite, which goes right back to Neolithic times. The old stories about what they used to do in the fields to make the grass grow is incredible. From human sacrifice right to the most debauched things you can think of. This is part of that. It's saying there's a whole trail from right the way back to our roots in unconsciousness, in tribal practices, right the way through to what was still going on in Warwickshire, in its muted form, in the mummers' plays and the Morris dances. And Shakespeare is saying it still goes on. It's still part of country folk. And in his day it was. Before I've got a little quote here for you, which helps to set the scene. Right. This is from Fraser's Golden Bough. And he's talking about exactly the same thing, fertility rites. We can trace them right back to Canaanite, and my good friend on my left will endorse this Egyptian myth, right the way through to Warwickshire in the 15th century. Now here's a little guy, Fraser, just writing about the statement of how we got to think of this situation. At the dawn of history, Europe was covered with an immense primeval forest, in which the scattered clearings must have appeared like islands in an ocean of green. Some Germans whom Caesar questioned about this had travelled for 2 months through a forest without reaching the end. So this is Caesar talking to the 2 Germans. 4 centuries later, it was visited by the Emperor Julian, and the solitude, the gloom and the silence of the forest appears to have made a deep impression on his sensitive nature. In our own country, the Wealds of Kent, Surrey and Sussex are the remnants of the great forest of Amarinda, which once clothed the whole of the south-eastern portion of the island. Westward it seemed to have stretched until it joined another forest that extended from Hampshire to Devon. Even under the later Plantagenets, the royal forests were 68 in number. And in the Forest of Arden, it was said that down to modern times, a squirrel could leap from tree to tree for the whole of Warwickshire. Okay? So we probably lost touch with the sight of just what the boyhood was like. And this is what Shakespeare's writing about. We've no knowledge that he ever left England. So he's not writing about Greece. And if you listen to the play and watch the play, this is England. It certainly isn't Greece. He's using Greece as a concept, as an idea. But the forest and the byways he's writing about, and the people, are English people. Okay? So that's the setting for that. So here we are in the Greenwood, and this is another relationship, Titania and Oberon. Ill met by moonlight, proud Titania.
What? Jealous Oberon? Fairy, skip hence. I have forsworn his bed and company.
Tarry, rash wanton, am I not your lord?
Then I must be thy lady. But I know when thou hast stolen away from fairyland, and in the shape of Corin sat all day, playing on pipes of corn and versing love to amorous Philip the leader. Why art thou here? Come from the farthest steppe in India? But that, forsooth, the bouncing Amazon, your busking mistress and your warrior lord, the Theses must be wedded, and you come to give their bed joy and prosperity?
Okay, I'm just going to stop there a second. what she's referring to is she's saying, you're only here in Athens because this girl is one of your favourites and you're just following her anyway and you just come over here to hang around her. Okay? So this is one of the gods of the forest, and he's just following the girls. And he responds, how canst thou thus? For shame, Titania, glance at my credit with Hippolyta, knowing that thy love to Theseus. Didst thou not lead him to the glimmering night from Perigena, whom he ravished, and make him with fair eagles break his faith with Ariadne and Antiopa? This is the list of ladies that he's had before he got to Hippolyta. So he's immediately bows and said, okay, so I'm following Hippolyta, but aren't we only here for Theseus? And didn't you lead him from this girl to that girl, from the other girl? And, the one he ravished as well? I mean, we're as bad as each other, aren't we? Is what he's saying. And she responds,
these are the forgeries of jealousy, and never since the middle summer spring met we on hill, in dale, forest or mead, by pave, by fountain or by rushy brook, or in the beach margins of the sea. To daunts our inlets to the whistling wind, but with thy walls thou hast disturbed our sport. Therefore the winds, piping to us in vain, as in revenge, have set up from the sea contagious fogs, which, pouring in the land.
Sorry, it's not there, it's not on the other side. I thought we would just give you the hint of it, okay? What she goes on to say is that because we've fallen out, nothing works. The seasons are out of kilter, like they are today. We didn't do this by magic, by the way. We were going to have this talk next Sunday, but because we couldn't do it, we shifted it, and suddenly it's on Midsummer and well, day after. Because it was the shortest night last night, if not the longest day. It was the longest day yesterday, shortest night. And it's interesting to see that these things are still significant to us. And it still feels wrong that the weather should be like this at this time of year. And this is what we're talking about. And there could be a reference to the fact that at the wedding that Shakespeare is supposed to have written his play for, then the weather was bad and the harvest was bad that year. But it's also the fact that he's talking about this concept that is prevalent in most of this sort of English Renaissance, that if the political head of a country, if the spirit of the country is sour, then the whole of the country is infertile, doesn't produce anything, there's no abundance, nothing works. And whether that's true or not, it's the way we feel. Another interesting point is that we've shifted away from the solar celebration. We don't celebrate Midsummer Day now, it's on Tuesday. And Christmas Day is 3 days behind the other solstice as well. So politically we've shifted it away from the time when we should be. We're reclaiming, we're establishing a sort of idea, a different law and order over these things, which are solar celebrations. And it's just a fascinating point to say. I've looked this up because somebody asked me a question about that. And all I can find is that it has been politically done for the last 100 years to shift it away from the actual solstice itself. Because it probably fits better with calendars and things. But I can only think it seems to be politicians interfering with what was a very old celebration. So, we've now got 5 relationships, all not doing very well. So, we haven't got much order. We've talked about order in Athens, but all we've actually seen is fractiousness and contention. So, that's been happening in Athens,